So, war has officially begun in Ukraine as Russia went in and started invading and bombing key cities in Ukraine. Russia attacks Ukraine as defiant Putin warns US, NATO. So Russian troops launched their anticipated attack on Ukraine on Thursday as President Vladimir Putin cast aside international condemnation and sanctions, warning other countries that any attempts to interfere would lead to consequences you have never seen. This man is absolutely off his rocker, and I mean they have already been multiple fatalities on both the Ukraine and Russian side, and I mean just the the absolute shock that this caused. I mean, to the markets, and I mean to people everywhere. It's just, oh man, it can't be overstated. Look at this picture here. These are Ukrainian residents fleeing Kiev, which is the Ukrainian capital, after Russia's first volley of attacks. Look at all these cars, compared to the other way around. It's like rush hour traffic from Toronto to Hamilton, where I'm from. They formed long lines outside banks and gas stations as air raid sirens rang out in Kiev, and there have already been bombings and shellings. So we'll get back to this later, but basically there's war in Europe, and I mean this is going to affect inflation, this is going to affect in markets, not to mention that this is going to affect so many people's lives and displacement of people. About 5 million people are going to be displaced, and around 50,000 are projected to perish in this war. So yeah, here it goes. And the ruble tumbles to all-time lows. The stock market fell in Russia. The MOEX index fell 40%, and we can see the impact this had on crude oil prices. Russia is a major exporter of oil, and we've seen right here it topped $100 at one point. Before kind of coming back down. But look, over the past month, over the past 6 months, from $60 to about $100. Yeah, and basically US and the European Union and the UK are going to impose the mother of all sanctions against Russia because of this attack. However, Russia has so much in their reserves, as we can see here right now. This in 2014, what happened? There was already the annexation of Crimea. They didn't have a lot of reserves. They had about 486 billion in international reserves, whereas they had a lot of foreign debt. This time it's the other way around, where they have a lot of international reserves, and the point is to sort of they have a lot of reserves so that they can weather the oncoming sanctions. And they lowered their debt. So it's kind of the opposite way this time around. I'm not, of course, who knows what Putin's motivations are. That's kind of besides the point, at least in this discussion. But I mean, look at the MOEX Russia index, over the past month, down 36%. Just on this day alone, it basically wiped out about 200 billion in market value due to this decline. Just absolutely, whew, bam, NASDAQ index, the American markets year to date, they're down 17%, well into correction territory. S&P also into correction territory, 12%. And we can expect, as inflation increases, as oil prices increase, and of course a major major input in the CPI index is energy prices. Those are going to continue to soar, I think. And I mean, yeah, it's just not looking good for the near-term future here, at least, and I'm talking about maybe 6 months out. And so let's look here. So the attack Western leaders have been warning us about for months has arrived. So the Russian president announced the military operation in Ukraine. Explosions were reported in its capital Kiev and in other Ukrainian cities. Troops on both sides have already been killed in fighting. The country also closed its airspace to civilian flights. Putin said his goal was not to occupy Ukraine, but to demilitarize it. And he went deeper into the background. The White House recently estimated that a full-scale invasion, like I said, could lead to 50,000 mortalities and up to 5 million people displaced. So President Biden denounced this unprovoked and unjustified invasion and will assert that Russia is alone responsible for the death and destruction that this will bring. So the countries of G7 will reveal severe sanctions against Russia. Not sure if that's already out yet. The U.S. and Western allies have already slapped minor sanctions, but they pledged more harsher sanctions. So these sanctions could be devastating for Russia's economy, but the war will ripple across the entire global economy. That's the kind of the main message. Predominant focus will be on energy prices, given Russia's outside role on oil and gas exporter. President Biden said he'd use every tool at her disposal to limit this. U.S. oil prices topped $100 this morning. And again, that's not good news for the fight against inflation. And also other commodities, wheat and corn futures spiked the most, allowed overnight due to concerns over supply. Ukrainians, while outmatched, are prepared to fight. As you attack, it will be our faces you see, not our backs. Ukraine president said in a speech last night. And I mean, oh, look at that. That is, a lot of people are fleeing, understandably, but, it's going to be, I honestly don't know what is going to happen. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. As for my holdings, I'm just going to be holding on my stocks and just basically buying the dip. I'm not going to touch any Russian stocks, obviously. Yeah, let me know what you think. This is a pretty sad day in history. I just thought I'd share it. Yeah, I love you all. Stay safe out there. These are, this could be like the largest war in Europe in decades. So, kind of concerning. And as a Slovakian citizen, I was born there. It's right next to Ukraine. It definitely is concerning. But yeah, cheers. Love you all and peace out.